And what can there possibly be attractive about me as I am now? Ah! He cried, clutching at his head, you shouldn't say that. If you had been attractive then. Oh, no, Kostya, oh, wait a minute, oh, do listen. She said, looking at him with an expression of pained commiseration. Why, what can you be thinking about? When for me there's no one in the world, no one, no one. Would you like me never to see anyone? For the first minute she had been offended at his jealousy, she was angry that the slightest amusement, even the most innocent, should be forbidden her, but now she would readily have sacrificed, not merely such trifles, but everything, for his peace of mind, to save him from the agony he was suffering. You must understand the horror and comedy of my position, he went on in a desperate whisper, that he's in my house, that he's done nothing improper positively except his free and easy airs and the way he sits on his legs. He thinks it's the best possible form, and so I'm obliged to be civil to him. But, Kostya, you're exaggerating, said Kitty, at the bottom of her heart rejoicing at the depth of his love for her, shown now in his jealousy. The most awful part of it all is that you're just as you always are, and especially now when to me you're something sacred, and we're so happy, so particularly happy, and all of a sudden a little wretch. He's not a little wretch, why should I abuse him? I have nothing to do with him. But why should my, and your, happiness? Do you know, I understand now what it's all come from, Kitty was beginning. Well, what? What? I saw how you looked while we were talking at supper. Well, well? Levin said in dismay. She told him what they had been talking about. And as she told him, she was breathless with emotion. Levin was silent for a space, then he scanned her pale and distressed face, and suddenly he clutched at his head. Katya, I've been worrying you. Darling, forgive me. It's madness. Katya, I'm a criminal. And how could you be so distressed at such idiocy? Oh, I was sorry for you. For me? For me? How mad I am. But why make you miserable? It's awful to think that any outsider can shatter our happiness. It's humiliating too, Of course. Oh, then I'll keep him here all the summer, and will overwhelm him with civility, said Levin, kissing her hands. You shall see. Tomorrow. Oh, yes, we are going tomorrow. Chapter 8. Next day, before the ladies were up, the wagonette and a trap for the shooting party were at the door, and Laska, aware since early morning that they were going shooting, after much whining and darting to and fro, had sat herself down in the wagonette beside the coachman, and, disapproving of the delay, was excitedly watching the door from which the sportsmen still did not come out. The first to come out was Vasenka Veslovsky, in new high boots that reached halfway up his thick thighs, in a green blouse, with a new Russian leather cartridge belt, and in his Scotch cap with ribbons, with a brand new English gun without a sling. Laska flew up to him, welcomed him, and jumping up, asked him in her own way whether the others were coming soon, but getting no answer from him, she returned to her post of observation and sank into repose again, her head on one side, and one ear pricked up to listen. At last the door opened with a creak, and Stepan Arkadyevitch's spot and tan pointer crock flew out, running round and turning over in the air. Stepan Arkadyevitch himself followed with a gun in his hand and a cigar in his mouth. Good dog, Crock. He cried encouragingly to the dog, who put his paws up on his chest, catching at his game bag. Stepan Arkadyevitch was dressed in rough leggings and spats, in torn trousers and a short coat. On his head there was a wreck of a hat of indefinite form, but his gun of a new patent was a perfect gem, and his game bag and cartridge belt, though worn, were of the very best quality. Vasenka Veslovsky had had no notion before that it was truly chic for a sportsman to be in tatters, but to have his shooting outfit of the best quality. He saw it now as he looked at Stepan Arkadyevitch, radiant in his rags, graceful, well-fed, and joyous, a typical Russian nobleman. And he made up his mind that next time he went shooting he would certainly adopt the same get-up. Well, and what about our host? He asked. A young wife, said Stepan Arkadyevitch, smiling. Yes, and such a charming one. He came down dressed. No doubt he's run up to her again. Stepan Arkadyevitch guessed right. Levin had run up again to his wife to ask her once more if she forgave him for his idiocy yesterday, and, moreover, to beg her for Christ's sake to be more careful. The great thing was for her to keep away from the children, they might any minute push against her. Then he had once more to hear her declare that she was not angry with him for going away for 2 days, and to beg her to be sure to send him a note next morning by a servant on horseback, to write him, if it were but 2 words only, to let him know that all was well with her. Kitty was distressed, as she always was, at parting for a couple of days from her husband, but when she saw his eager figure, looking big and strong in his shooting boots and his white blouse, and a sort of sportsman elation and excitement incomprehensible to her, she forgot her own chagrin for the sake of his pleasure, and said good-bye to him cheerfully. "Pardon, gentlemen," he said, running out onto the steps. "Have you put the lunch in?" "Why is the chestnut on the right?" "Well, it doesn't matter. Laska, down, go and lie down." "Put it with the herd of oxen," he said to the herdsman, who was waiting for him at the steps with some question. "Excuse me, here comes another villain."